Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to gently unpack a super common household dilemma, navigating family chores without every single request turning into a hardcore financial negotiation. If you've ever felt like your home is morphing into a corporate workplace, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to dive into the research, decode the dynamic, and explore practical ways to shift the meaning of helping out at home. Let's get right into it. So picture this. It's Saturday morning. Your kid carries a plate to the sink and you say, "Hey, thanks for helping." But instead of a simple "you're welcome," they pause and ask, "So how much do I get?" Or maybe later, you ask someone to take out the trash and the answer comes back lightning fast. "Yeah, that's not on my paid list." If you've ever heard phrases like this, I want to reassure you, you are absolutely not alone. And honestly, it makes total sense why we end up in this dynamic. Caring parents usually start paying for chores with the best of intentions, right? We want to teach responsibility, connect effort with earning, or honestly, just reduce the endless reminders. But suddenly, the system that was supposed to make life easier has somehow turned into a series of exhausting price negotiations. To help us untangle all this, here's our roadmap. Section 1. When helping becomes a transaction. 2. 3 types of family work. 3. Mistakes and transactional signs. 4. Allowance models and real evidence. 5. Better words and the share plan. And finally, 6. Your 7-day family reset. All right, let's jump straight into section 1. When helping becomes a transaction. Why exactly do we start paying in the first place? Well, the truth is, payment works incredibly fast. Family work is tiring, and let's face it, it's often totally invisible. Offering cash provides a really concrete agreement. You do this task, you receive this amount. It's clear, it's immediate, and man, it quickly stops the arguing. The dishes actually get done, and as a parent, you just feel way less exhausted. And hey, that short-term success is not fake. Paying kids for work isn't automatically harmful. The issue really only begins when every single act of self-care, shared responsibility, or just general kindness gets a price tag attached to it. When that happens, a child might not learn, "I contribute because I belong to this family." Instead, they kind of accidentally learn, "Household work is something I only do when the price is right." But a home is a small community, right? It's not just a marketplace where services are bought and sold. Moving on to section 2, 3 types of family work. Let's look at a paradigm shift that breaks household tasks into 3 very distinct categories. At the core of a healthy household system, we've got these 3 columns. Column 1 is personal self-care. This is stuff like making the bed, tossing dirty clothes in a hamper, or packing a school bag. These are just basic skills that kid needs for growing independence. Then column 2 is shared contribution. Setting the table, unloading the dishwasher, maybe resetting the shared living room. We do these things simply because, well, we all live here. And finally, column 3 is extra paid jobs. Think major yard work or planned babysitting. By cleanly separating basic self-care and everyday family contributions from those genuinely optional, extra paid jobs, we stop treating every single act of cooperation like it's a paid gig. Don't get me wrong, kids absolutely need opportunities to earn, but they also really need to experience being capable members of a household whose actions genuinely matter to other people. Which brings us to section 3, mistakes and transactional signs. Let's identify some of those really common parent traps. Now, I want to emphasize that we're looking at these without any shame at all. We have literally all been there. One super common mistake is paying for personal self-care. If you pay your child every single time they use the hamper, that skill is going to feel entirely optional the second there's no money on the table. Another easy trap to fall into is bidding against your kid during an argument, say raising the price from $5 to $15 when they're resisting cleaning the garage. All that does is teach them that resistance increases their hourly rate. We also sometimes pay instead of teaching. If a teen is avoiding cooking, they might just be afraid of messing up. Offering money just ramps up the pressure without actually solving the missing skill. Competence really matters here. Payment simply can't replace demonstration, practice, and respectful feedback. Let's look at the contrast in a totally everyday moment. On one side, we have a highly transactional approach. I'll pay you $2 if you clean your room. Or, even worse, you get paid every time your room is clean. But on the other side, we have a much warmer, more relational response. Hey, keeping a safe path and putting dirty clothes in the hamper are part of caring for your space. Let's make a simple routine. See the difference? A better response focuses on caring for personal space and building manageable habits, rather than just slapping a price tag on the chore. Now, if they want to do a massive closet reorganization, sure, that could absolutely be a separate paid project. Let's look at another classic everyday moment, cleaning the kitchen. A transactional response sounds like, "I'll pay you $2 to clear the table." But a much better approach connects the work back to the community. You could say, everyone who ate helps reset the kitchen. Do you want to clear the plates or wipe the table? In shared spaces, giving a simple choice like that really reinforces the idea that we all contribute because we all use the kitchen. We can save the cash for truly extra optional projects like, say, pulling everything out and organizing all the pantry shelves. So, how do you know if your current system is leaning just a bit too far into this territory? You want to look for a pattern, rather than just one irritated comment on a Tuesday. If your kid constantly asks, "What do I get?" before every single request, if they refuse all unpaid help, or if they start demanding a higher rate for the exact same task, those are classic transactional signs. You might also notice constant arguments about tiny technicalities like, well, you said take out the trash, you didn't say replace the bag. Now listen closely. These signs do not prove your child is greedy or has bad character. Not at all. They simply show that the system might be teaching a narrower lesson than you intended. They are just adapting to the structure that we, the adults, created. Let's shift gears to Section 4, Allowance Models and Real Evidence. Here is what the science actually tells us and what it doesn't. The absolutely crucial point here is understanding the limits of the evidence. And of course, a quick caveat. Whenever we talk about chores, we are assuming the work is safe and fair for the child's age. Now, a large U.S. longitudinal study did find that more frequent chores in kindergarten were associated with later self-reported competence and pro-social outcomes. Another study found links between some chores and parent-rated executive functioning. However, and this is a big however, these studies do not prove causation. It might just be that kids with stronger skills naturally get given more chores, or maybe highly organized families differ in other ways too. Plus, direct research actually comparing paid chores versus unpaid chores is surprisingly limited. There's literally no universal scientific law dictating exactly how you have to handle this, because the science really doesn't mandate one perfect way, and no single allowance model is proven best for every single family. We can look at 3 totally reasonable options. First, there's an independent allowance. This gives money on a predictable schedule strictly for practicing money management, while the basic chores just remain unpaid family contributions. Second, we have a commission model, which pays only for specific identified extra jobs. Or third, a mixed model, which provides a small predictable allowance plus extra paid projects on the side. The honest truth, whether you use an independent allowance, a commission, or a mixed model, things like clarity, consistency, and fairness matter far, far more than whatever label you put on it. All right, Section 5, Better Words and the Share Plan. Let's look at the exact language and structure you can use to make this work. The Share Plan brilliantly breaks this all down into simple, actionable steps. S stands for separate the categories, meaning identify what's self-care, what's family contribution, and what are those extra paid jobs. H is help before demanding independence. Demonstrate the tasks, practice together, maybe use some checklists. A is agree on expectations. Figure out in advance exactly when an allowance is paid and what the word finished actually looks like. R is recognize contribution beyond cash. Use specific feedback and share genuine appreciation, but without making that praise into a weird new payment system. And finally, E is evaluate and adjust. Review the workload for fairness, making sure you aren't accidentally ignoring invisible work or assigning tasks based on outdated stereotypes. The guiding principle here is contribution with dignity, not just equal suffering. And that brings us to our final section, number 6, your 7-day family reset. This is a gentle plan to help transform your home. This timeline is designed to let you calmly transition away from old habits in a really gentle, completely shame-free way. On days 1 and 2, just audit your current paid tasks and select maybe 2 or 3 basic family contributions for each kid. Keep it small, nothing overwhelming. On day 3, sit down and actively listen to your child. Ask them what feels confusing or unfair about the chores and really listen before getting defensive. Day 4 is all about teaching one chore step by step, instead of just adding a reward to it. By day 5, you can create that small list of optional paid jobs with really clear prices. Finally, on days 6 and 7, you just calmly explain the new system. A quick tip, don't accuse your kid of only caring about money. And if they've been depending on payment for months, try reducing the old payments in stages so you avoid a sudden dramatic conflict. Most parents who pay for chores aren't trying to buy cooperation. They're really just trying to make family life manageable and teach some responsibility along the way. The good news is you can keep those wonderful, valid goals while totally changing the message. So here's my final question for you. What is one realistic action you can try today? I challenge you to grab a single piece of paper right now, draw those 3 columns, self-care, family contribution, and extra paid jobs. Then just place each of your child's current chores into one of those columns. That one simple little distinction is your very first step toward returning a deep sense of shared belonging and teamwork to your family. Thanks so much for learning with us today.